September 2000. And we're going to jump right into the books because I have nothing to report. First book I read in September of 2000 is An Enemy Reborn by Michael A. Stackpole and William F. Wu. This is the follow up to A Hero Born. It's just a duology, just these two books. And our main character, Locke, is now a Chaos Rider. So he lives in a land that's surrounded by a wall that keeps out the chaos of, well, the outside world. And he wanted to become a Chaos Rider in the first book so he could go into the chaos, try to find his father. Now he's Chaos Rider, but the walls have broken down. The chaos, I'm saying chaos an awful lot. The chaos is breaking into the real world, and Locke has to find a way to stop it. So that's it. Fantasy, Michael A. Stackpole. We're going to see his name again very shortly. Second book was Sable by Mike Grell. Mike Grell is a great comic book writer. And John Sable Freelance was a comic book of his. He decided to write a novel about the character. And as I said, the character's name is John Sable. So the book is just his story. He's a gameskeeper in Africa. He's pissing off the wrong people. So basically some poachers kill his family. So John Sable goes on a killing spree to get revenge. And then some stuff happens. He ends up in New York, becomes an author of children's books, but gets pulled back into the world of violence. I have a trade paperback of the comic somewhere over there. No longer have the novel, but again, I like Mike Grell, and John Sable's an interesting character. Now, the next three books I'm just going to sort of lump together because it's a trilogy. So what we have for books 3, 4, and 5 of September of 2000 are Battletech, Lethal Heritage, Blood of Kerensky Volume 1, Battletech Blood Legacy, Blood of Kerensky Volume 2, and Battletech Lost Destiny, Blood of Kerensky Volume 3. All three of these books are by Michael A. Stackpole. So Battletech is a miniatures game, one of those huge, overwhelming miniatures games where you've got to have a giant tabletop and a tape measure and charts and all sorts of things, but it's mechs, which I love. If there's anybody who doesn't know, mechs are these huge armored fighting machines that are typically humanoid-ish in shape. You know what? I'm going to look this up on my phone. And there's a pilot inside, and they'll have tons and tons of armor, or excuse me, weapons and stuff. And they fight. So in the game, in the miniatures game, you build your army and you do this, and there's different factions and things. So these books are very political. Let's see. Let's find a decent image of some armors. This one might not be bad. Here we go. Hopefully you can see this. So that's an example of a mech. They don't all look like that. Some of them. Here's another one. Oops, try and get some. There you go. I think you can see that. Light reflecting on it. So those are mechs, Battletech mechs and such. So in this book, in this trilogy, you've got the sphere of planets, and there's different houses and things. So again, there's a lot of politics, a lot of battle going on. They've been at war for like 300 years, and a lot of this is from the game, because in games like this, you have to you want a faction and things. You want something to sort of separate you from everybody else. That gives you certain abilities that they don't have, or certain traits that they don't have. So in the books, we have the different houses that are on different planets, but they're always fighting. But a threat from outside is coming in, something called the Clan. And they're a race, for lack of a better term, that's simply bred for battle. They just go, they take over planets. So now you have these different warring factions of the sphere have to come together to fight the Clan, or they'll all be wiped out. So this is the setup in the first book. In the second book, a bunch of planets have already been wiped out by the Clan, and now they're heading for House Draconis, something like that. Excuse me. So our main character ishes have to decide: are they going to? I mean, these are ancient enemies. Are we going to help them to fight off the Clan, or maybe we can take advantage of this? The Clan will weaken them, and then we can finally defeat them. So that's going on, and then there's a house called Comstar, something like that. They control all communications, and they're going to take advantage of all of this that's going on so they can make a play to become the primary people. And then in the third book, basically Comstar has allied with the Clan, and so that they can sort of take over, but you can't trust the Clan. And our heroes are trying to stop all this stuff. So they're very Dune-ish in the different houses and the politics and the infighting that's going on, I find. But it's lots of great mech action, which I really like. I don't know what it is about mechs that I enjoy so much, but I just like these giant fighting machines, and again, they have different weapons, and you always have to worry about overheating, and it's just a lot of fun, I think. So that's the Blood of Kerensky trilogy: Lethal Heritage, Blood Legacy, Lost Destiny, all three by Michael A. Stackpole. All right, then we have Harlot's Moon by Ed Gorman. This is the third book with, I have to look, Robert Payne, ex-FBI profiler. And in this book, he gets a call from an old friend, a priest. There's been a priest that's been murdered, and Robert Payne is called in to help to figure out who the killer is, but sort of uncovers a bunch of murders that have been happening, all centered around or in this church. And Robert Payne's got to figure it out. And I followed that up with Voodoo Moon by Ed Gorman, the fourth Robert Payne book. And in this one, there's a small town in Iowa. Someone's been accused of a murder. He says that the murder was actually committed by this guy who was a serial killer a long time ago, had been locked up in an asylum, burned it down, killing everybody inside except for himself, who escaped. And Robert Payne, again, is brought in to figure out what's really going on. And then he's got an ex-girlfriend who's a psychic who has helped the police in the past, but she's got a TV show, making money on TV as a psychic. But she's going to help Robert Payne, and maybe it'll help her career. Can Robert Payne figure out who did it? Probably. So, Harlot's Moon and Voodoo Moon, both by Ed Gorman. Then we have Invasion of the Body Snatchers by Jack Finney. Do I really need to tell you what this is about? The classic story of a small town being invaded. Pod people don't fall asleep. They'll take over. It's a classic. It's horrific when you get into the implications of it. It's been made into two great movies and a number of not so great movies. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Then we have Hell is Too Crowded by Jack Higgins. This is an early Jack Higgins book, and the setup is one that we've seen, I think, many times before. And basically, it's a guy, he's an American who has come back from war in the deserts. I think it said Kuwait. and he's in London, and he meets a mysterious woman, and she says, "Hey, let's go back to my place." He's like, "Yeah, why not?" And then when he wakes up in the morning, he finds her dead, and the cops are going to pin the murder on him. So he goes on the run to figure out what's going on, who actually did it. As I said, something we've seen before many times, but it's told in Jack Higgins' style. He's a great writer. It is early works, so maybe not as great as some of his later stuff, but it's still a fun read. Then we have Dark Matter in Hollow Houses by Gary A. Braunbeck. This is a book based on a role playing game that's very X-Files. And it has the Hoffman Institute instead of the X-Files part of the FBI. It's the Hoffman Institute, but there's supernatural threats that the members of the Hoffman Institute need to investigate and stop. You know, is hell on Earth going to be released? Is hell going to be released on Earth? So this is the first. I think there's 5 books in the series. I've never played the game, but I love the X-Files. Excuse me. And I really like this kind of stuff. And Gary Braunbeck, great writer. So a lot of fun. This is a series I wouldn't mind having again. Plus, great covers. I want to say it's Ben Templesmith that did the covers. Looks very much like his art. He's the artist from the original 30 Days of Night. Very cool art style. You know, I'm going to drag out my phone again just to make sure I'm not throwing out false information. Let's see. I can't talk and spell at the same time. Ben Templesmith. That's images. Let's look at all. 30 Days of Night. Yes, very, very cool style. Let's just look at a picture. I'm going to sharing images. I don't have any books to show you, so why not show you some artwork? Oh, I don't like Doctor Who. Just trying to find a really cool. Here's a cool picture. See if you can see that without too much glare. Just a really cool style. Anyway, can't say for sure that he did the covers. I think he did. But Dark Matter in Hollow Houses. If you're a fan of the X-Files, I think you're really going to enjoy this. When I looked it up to remind myself of what it was, looked at some of the reviews, people said very good representation of the role-playing game. So there you go. And finally, the last book that I read in September of 2000. Be shocked to know that I do not have a copy of this. Or if I do, I couldn't find it. But it's not with all the other books I have by this author. And that is The Bottoms by Joe R. Lansdale. How is it there's a Lansdale book that I don't have? I don't know. So in The Bottoms, set during, I believe it's Depression era, and you got a young boy named Harry Collins and his sister find the dead body of a black woman, starts an investigation, then another woman is murdered, this time it's a white woman, and so of course the local clan has to lynch someone, but Harry knows that that person was innocent, so he and his sister are going to try and find out who the real killer is. Classic Joe Lansdale, East Texas story. I mean, Lansdale is a master storyteller. There's nothing else to say about him that hasn't been said many, many times. Excuse me. Great book. And I can't remember. I think this is the one that Bill Paxton wanted to make into a movie until his untimely passing. But it's a fantastic novel. It's one I'm definitely going to have to get a copy of again. I don't know why I don't have it, uh, but it's just not there. I keep looking over here. All my Lansdales, except for the Batman one, which is with the DC stuff, all my Lansdales are over here, and I didn't see it there anywhere. But it's great, great stuff, and a great way to end September of the year 2000. So there you go. That is what I read. My question for this month is are you familiar with mechs, with battle tech type of stuff, giant mechs fighting? I guess I could have mentioned Avatar has mechs in it. I haven't seen it. I have absolutely no interest in seeing it, but there are mechs in it. Um, there was a great movie called, well, relatively speaking, there was a movie called Robot Jocks that was about mechs fighting. And there's a movie called Crash and Burn, both from either Empire slash Full Moon movies. Um, Crash and Burn has a mech in it. Uh, are you familiar with the concept? Are you a fan, or are you not familiar with this at all? Um, Obviously, I'm a fan. I've already said it. I like the movie Robot Jocks. I love the movie Crash and Burn. I won't watch Avatar. I'm always looking for a good, like, mech game that isn't the giant sprawling BattleTech game. There was a really good one that I played on Xbox. Had to be Xbox. That's what I had. Um, where you were a mech and great controls on the controller, but you went on these missions and um, had to watch your temperature, make sure you didn't overheat. You had to find ammo in case you ran out. Loved that game. Still been trying to find a good board game that isn't the giant game that's going to have mechs. I used to have a BattleTech card game a long, long time ago. It's just, I don't know why. It's just a thing that I enjoy. Are you at all familiar with it? If so, what do you think? There's a guy at work that doesn't like that stuff at all. He's seen them. He knows what they are essentially, and they don't interest him at all. But what about you? It's a weird question, I know, but let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am @ELSmith. That's all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more books.